Hello and welcome. Hope you're all having a great day. Whole of England here, and today we're going to be taking a look at Nelson, the Tier 7 British battleship. Now, Nelson is being removed from the game to purchase an update 0.10.5, and that is alongside many other ships, a lot of which I'll be covering over the next few weeks. For some basic information on the ship, Nelson is available for a very attractive 375,000 free experience, which in my opinion is a very good price for a Tier 7 ship, considering some at Tier 9 and 10 are much more expensive when compared to tier for tier. Before going into all of the good and bad points of this ship, as a brief overview of the video, I would advise to get Nelson, as for the price of it, she's a very powerful and fun ship to play. The only reason I could see why you would not want to get it is if you don't want to have to learn how she plays, as Nelson does require some experience and understanding of how she works to perform well, causing her to have a pretty high skill floor. However, if this is not an issue, I'd highly recommend that you do get her. And after discussing these points, I'll also briefly cover some good ways of earning free experience in a short amount of time. To begin, Nelson is big, slow, and a lot of the time, Nelson is rather squishy. The really notable thing is that Nelson is a ship that's really quite easy to citadel. Looking from the side, the citadel is covered with 32mm of plating, but with how much it is above the waterline, and just with how flat it is, that really won't stop shells from getting in. Another issue is that Nelson can very easily be overmatched through the front, with a 26mm bow, meaning that any shells of 372mm and above will get through very easily into a flat citadel sitting right behind it, which, especially when getting up tiered, will not make for a fun time. Although this is an issue, Nelson has a secret weapon, the specialised repair teams. This allows you to heal just under 1200 HP every single second. This is great, considering that Nelson has just over 59,000 HP, so although she will get battered very easily, she can at least heal a massive chunk of health back and carry on fighting, which makes her a very fun ship to play. And especially fun when you get to see the dismay of your opponents watching you reprint another ship after minutes of wearing you down, quite similarly to how Conqueror likes to play. Regarding speed, again everything is just a bit slow. And without the Sierra mic signal, she can reach a speed of 24 knots, which is pretty bad, and furthermore she takes quite a while to actually turn. Nelson does have a nice 750m turning circle, which makes up for that, but with the low speed it still will take quite a while to actually turn that 750 metres. Now speaking of turning, the turret traverse is pretty slow, but with the grease the gears captain skill, this is not so much of a problem, and plus that's also benefited by the fact you've got an ABC turret configuration, which means that all turrets are located at the bow end of the ship, allowing you to always be aiming at the ships in front of you without needing to manoeuvre too much. One thing though that you do need to take in mind is because of the angles of the ship, if you are turning to the point where you have all three guns ready to fire at a target, make sure they won't be able to fire back, as at the angle they'll be able to penetrate your unangled cheek and cause some massive damage, especially if one of their shells locates your citadel. As for the 9 forward facing 406mm guns, they are very powerful. The first thing you'll notice is that the HE shells come with a 46% fire chance, and a very attractive 6,900 max damage. This is great for shredding the superstructures and decks of other battleships, as well as ruining the days of any destroyers who are unfortunate enough to find themselves in your firing line. But you don't want to solely rely on high explosive shells like you would on, say, Conqueror and Thunderer. Well, then again, you shouldn't really on those two either, but you still can, technically. However, Nelson's AP shells are also surprisingly powerful too. This is due to their short fuse, so that means if you find yourself in a position to shoot the side of a cruiser, you are going to hurt them, and for that reason it's a good idea to take gun feeder, for the fact of switching up shell types usually benefits you, unless you're seeing games where you're only getting sides. So at that point you'd use only AP shells because you're only seeing sides of ships, or if everything is all bow towards you and tanking, then obviously you're going to stick with high explosive until you're given the side. But aside, most of the time in most games you are going to want to be going in between the two shell types depending on what's shown to you. The last thing that I'll cover is concealment and anti-air. The concealment of Nelson is pretty average at 14.8 kilometers, as she can be seen pretty early on, which is probably due to her size. However, when you do spec her correctly with Concealment Expert, you can reduce that down to 13.4, which at this tier and for a battleship is pretty average. As for the anti-air, in my honest opinion, it is pretty mediocre. The range isn't the best at only 4.5 kilometers, and from 3.5 kilometers you've only got a 1 kilometer radius for flak, meaning it's going to be very easy for a carrier to waltz on in and drop you with whatever ordnance they're using. The one decent thing that I can see with the AA arsenal is when a squadron gets within 2 kilometers of you, your damage skyrockets to 315 and 224 for when they're within 2.5 kilometers, so that short period of time may make a carrier player recall their squadron after their first attack run. With all those points covered, that's my brief overview of the ship, so if everything there sounds like something you'd like to own, and you've not yet got her, we'll now discuss some good methods to earn a decent amount of free experience in a relatively short period of time. Firstly, having premium will make the process of grinding free experience easier, but even without it, it's still possible. If you've got any economic or special signals that will boost free experience, then I'd say to use these, but not in anything such like co-op or random battles, but instead use them in battles where you'll have the biggest impact to a game, increasing your chances of winning. When I say this, I mean game modes that have got less players, removing reliance on others to win. For this, there are clan battles, and then there's ranked battles. Clan battles does have a set amount of experience for a win or a loss, so for clan battles it's essential that you win as many as possible, but you've got the benefit of actually being able to talk to your team. However, when you win with a lot of signals there as well, it's more than possible to earn over 10,000 experience per game. For ranked battles, however, experience earned is based on your performance, meaning that even on a win, the amount that you can earn will vary quite a lot. However, as I said, there's less reliance on other players, meaning if you do perform well and can achieve a victory, you'll also earn a good amount of free experience. Apart from that, it's really just a fact of playing the game. If you're enjoying yourself and having good games, then you'll be able to get a Nelson in no time. And speaking of time, we are at the end of the video. So I hope you found this useful or informative, and if that's the case, then I'd really appreciate if you left a like, as it just generally really helps out the channel. With all that said, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.